I've left the Diary of a CEO. This could be the first time I speak about it. The reality is, how do you leave the second biggest show in the world? Like, where do you go?
Can you share anything about what you... No specifics.
Meet Grace Andrews, the 27-year-old brand builder who helped scale one of the world's biggest podcasts.
In the first year, we had 7,000 subscribers on YouTube. By the following January, we hit 100,000 subscribers. Next January, we hit 1 million. And by the next January, we hit 5 million. You want the secret sauce? Like,
She didn't just market a podcast, she redefined the playbook.
if you want people to watch something, you've got to create a path to discovery, create an attention funnel to draw people in. And that's where the trailer evolved from. We've got a head of failure whose entire focus is to find as many ways we can fail to uncover the opportunity for success.
Tune into a masterclass of insights. Grace breaks down what actually moves the needle in modern brand building.
Maybe a controversial take, I don't think you ever crack content. The marketing funnel is dead because it's not linear anymore. You've got to piss off the 80%. Because what you're going to do is you're going to make that 20% so fucking loyal to your brand. There are no rules here. Like, there are literally no rules. Go and break things and like come back to us with the solution.
This wasn't just a podcast guest spot, it was a consulting clinic.
There will be an invoice to follow.
Jack's like, well, I'm having one. And I was like, I don't want this, but I can't let him be the only person on camera drinking a Guinness.
Classic Irish. Classic.
The guy who owns the pub, like.
Everyone's going to think he
Yeah, it's
has
like
a
water
problem.
for you.
But like, you rung us as I was having my porridge and orange juice. Like, do you want a pint? Like, of course I don't want a pint.
I respect it. Cheers. Thank you for having me.
No.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, absolute pleasure. Welcome to the lock-in. It's great to have you here, Grace.
Pleasure.
Jesus, Jack, I can't believe you're making me drink that. But anyway.
At 8 a.m. in the morning, isn't it?
You know what? As a London pint goes, that's pretty good. Isn't it?
It's actually, it's not bad
Here
at
we
all.
go. Here we go. We get it. You're from Dublin.
Like, it's not the same, okay? But
See, not only is he from Dublin, he owns a boozer in Dublin. So, you know.
There's a lot to live up
the
to.
best Guinness in Dublin, they've said. The storyteller. Don't forget it.
You don't want that. You'll go TikTok viral and then you'll have like queues and queues for days.
Like the Devonshire.
Yeah.
I take that.
Have you been there?
I have, yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's like a conveyor belt.
I've heard good things.
It's just so busy.
It's off the charts. There's a little room at the back,
Yeah.
though. Have you been in the room at the back?
I've eaten, I've done the whole thing.
Oh, you're in the inner circle.
I'm a
You're
local.
inner circle.
Yeah.
Are you splitting the G?
I'm not onto this yet.
Okay.
One day. I think it's quite cool. So like, I really would like to be on that vibe.
I actually didn't like it when I first started drinking it, but I wanted to be cool
This
as
is
well.
what
I
everyone
felt left
said.
out. Yeah, it was peer pressure. Yeah.
I'm
still
only
trying
just
to be
getting
clean.
onto like lager. So I'm like, just slow and steady, you know?
Yeah. One of the things I should probably never say about myself on camera, but when I started drinking that back in the day, I used to put my waddy in there, blackcurrant.
Blackcurrant, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what everyone says. Everyone's like, just put blackcurrant in.
Honestly, I look at it now, I'm like, you were a disgrace.
He also was 14 years of age, so it was probably acceptable. Like,
Grace, look, we're absolutely thrilled to have you here. I think in particular, we're really excited with this podcast because you've done so much already throughout your career. You led and grew, Diary of a CEO to being the most popular podcast in the UK, top 10 globally, I believe, reaching tens of millions of viewers each month. We're just on our content journey, I'd say early stages. So like for us, this is a real learning session, and we're very excited to dive into that.
They were slagging me, by the way, before this, been like, that like she's not just coming on for a pod here. You realize that this is a consultancy gig that we've paid for to show you how to do your job.
it's actually an intervention with Andy.
No, do you know what though? Like the thing, I'll be totally honest. Like when you start doing podcast recordings, a lot of people want you to come on their podcast, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Cut that. Has a podcast, right? And you have to be. It does take up a lot of time. It takes up a lot of energy. So you do have to be quite, I guess, like vigilant with the ones you go on, and you do your research. But I saw your podcast, and you didn't ask me. I'd seen your podcast before you'd asked me because of your edits, like the way you're editing and the way you're capturing, and you're doing it differently. Like we're in a pub in London, you've got a full camera setup, it feels fresh and different. So I'm like, yeah, I love that. Like, let's get on board with that. Like if I like see another one-man interview set up on a white sofa with like a green fake tree in the background, like, like, do you know what I mean?
Honestly, we're allergic to it.
It is like, you do become allergic to it because it just feels like wallpaper. They all look the same, they all feel the same, they ask the same questions, you have the same conversation. Yeah. And I'm just like, there's no like, I'm so all about adding value. Like if I share something, it's best believe it's got to be value driven. And so I got that vibe. So here we are.
I'm delighted to hear that. It's a bit of a bitter.
We didn't want you to say that. That's exactly what we didn't want you to say.
Did I get that right? Did I get that right?
Did you have a chat downstairs?
Did I get that right?
Okay,
Perfect.
nice.
Doing something right over here.
Before jumping into and hopefully picking up lots of snippets and insights from you about how we can grow this thing.
There will be an invoice to follow. Like, I am just going to let you know now.
How did it all begin? How did you meet, say, Stephen Bartlett and join the Diary of a CEO team?
It all started with a LinkedIn post. So Stephen posted on LinkedIn saying he was looking for a social media manager. And this was just after he'd left Social Chain, which was his big sort of social media agency that he built in Manchester. And I always say, you knew about Stephen Bartlett if you worked in social media or you lived in Manchester. If you weren't in those circles, he hadn't written his book, he hadn't done Dragon's Den, the podcast had 8,000 subscribers on YouTube. Unless you were already in those circles, he wasn't the Stephen Bartlett he is today. But I did work in social media. I was a freelancer in social media. And
Do you know what I remember about him? Sorry.
No, go on.
Is the fedora. He has this like iconic.
Not anymore, but he did.
No, but that's what I remember about him.
That was part of his brand.
Yeah.
So and that is it. Like, oh my God, if you could sum up in like a sentence, like why people wear specific things when they're founders or when they're building or why they have things around them is because it's so memorable.
Yeah.
It makes a mark. It looks different. It feels different. You remember it. He hasn't worn a fedora for the entire time I've worked there. So over 5 years now.
But that was his Social Chain era. Yeah.
It's so incredible how like pieces of like people really like underestimate the value of like repetitive things or repetitive actions. And him wearing that was his symbol. It was like he turned up Stephen Bartlett with the fedora. Yep. And like that is ingrained in your memory. It's so powerful. Like I think people really underestimate that. But anyway.
That's quite clever though, yeah. You need to start wearing a hat coming out.
What am I
You're
gonna
looking
wear
around
here?
like, what is our thing? What is our thing?
Yeah, he's an alcoholic.
He's told me about his pub within 5 minutes of meeting him, so I think the pub ownership might be the thing. But
I think it's regardless of where we are, who we're speaking, or what time of day it is, you're having a pint.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
It would be very enjoyable for me, actually. So, yeah.
As long as it's
Very bad
in
for
your
you
pub as
guys.
well, it works
Yeah.
really well. So alongside that, I'd been building my brand, but at the time, this word personal branding didn't exist. So like I was posting content on Instagram as a way to generate leads for clients. So like I would share really educational content about social media. It would generate interest that would then lead to client opportunities. So it was building a brand. I just didn't really put two and two together. I saw it was my like lead generation thing. Like it was my magnet. Like it was my way to bring clients in. So I had all this evidence of like, I knew what I was talking about. I shared about it online. I shared educational content. So when this post came up, there were like over 5,000 people who applied for this job, as I found out in hindsight. I wrote a quick email. He wanted 3 bullet points on an email. I wrote an email and then I was quite persistent. So like I found his manager at the time, who I'd be working into. I found him on LinkedIn. I messaged him. I said like, hey, I'm sure you've got 1 million applicants here. I would absolutely love to have a call. Do you have 5 minutes? Like I would just love, and I've just always been that kind of person. Like I will always do my absolute best with every opportunity to make myself heard and make myself seen. Like I'm not going to be someone who applies with the masses and then sits back and like hopes they contact me. Like that's not how you get anywhere.
That's amazing.
So I found everyone I could who worked closely or didn't work closely. I actually found the person they just fired, who they were replacing with this job. And I was like, hey, any chance you can get me an in? Even though he'd just been let go. And I was just...
Did he respond?
He was so lovely. And it actually just turned out it was just like a right person, wrong fit kind of thing. And he was like, you should go for it, like go big. So I had all of this, but like I just always try and connect with as many people as I possibly can when I know that was the thing I had to go for, because I was like doing okay. I was like doing well in the freelance world. I was enjoying it. I was working with all these small businesses. I knew that I would eventually work my way into a position that I was doing something I wanted to do, but I was like, that's my fast track route. Like working with the guy who's already built like a huge, like very successful social media agency as someone who works in social media is the person I'm going to be able to fast track my career with, because I'm going to learn so much. Yeah. And he has contacts, and he has network, he has opportunities. So I saw it as just a learning opportunity, and I was like, I can't let that pass me by. So yeah, within 2 weeks I was in the office.
Amazing.
All off a LinkedIn post, and like I was just I was persistent. I put in the reps, and then I found myself in the right place at the right time. But everything had led to that moment, you know?
Regardless of what you put into those 3 bullet points in the email about your personality, showing that persistence is actually what matters, because they're like, oh, that's the type of person
I made
want
their
in
life
here.
easier.
Like, yeah, exactly.
And I say that
no
to
choice.
people I was hiring all the time. I was like, we get so many applicants as you'd expect with a public-facing brand. message me 10 times and I remember your name.
Yeah.
Stay at the top of my inbox regularly. Like we have people, I have one person who comes to mind who was emailing every month on the first of the month, every single month to go, I know you don't have any jobs yet, but when they do, I'm going to be here. And that person is stuck. It's like stuck in my mind. And it makes my life so much easier.
We actually had someone in.
Yeah, you can talk about Charlie.
Yeah, you can say, yeah.
Oh my God. So this young guy, he's like 22, he's in college at the time. And we've put out a lot of job postings. And he's obviously applied and heard nothing back. So lives like 2 hours outside Dublin, hops on a bus, comes up to the city centre, finds our office, comes up to the door of the office, walks in the door, and he meets Dermot, who is like 6'9", the biggest man you've ever met, CrossFit champion in the world. Yeah, engineer. And he starts going, hey, I'm here. I want to apply for a job. You're in Wayflower, are you? And your man's like, whoa, what's wrong with you, kid? Like, are you like, just take it easy, fella. And he's like, you can't be in here. He's like, get out of our office. Okay. So he kicks him out of the office. He's out on the street. Dermot goes back to it. An hour later, Dermot goes out to go for lunch. And your man's still in the street, comes up to him, hey, I just want to talk to someone about a job. And Dermot's like, doesn't like talking to people and the best of times, to be honest with you. And he turns around and he goes, that guy, talk to that guy. So he runs up to Dan O'Brien, who was head of sales at the time. And he just starts going, hey, I want to work here. And Dan's like, whoa, what the hell is going on? He's like, okay, just go stand there at the door. I'll be back in 15 minutes. We can sit down. And 2 days later, he was in the office working with us. It was.
I would say, I would encourage people to all do that. Yeah. Only because we've said stories like this in the past and we've been hounded by people at the door. It's like, you've got to do it when you're the only person doing it, right? Like, it doesn't work to be the 15th person who comes and does that. Like, you've got to find the new route in. And that is like, I love that. I love that persistence. Like, drive down, make it happen. But as soon as everyone starts doing it, it's like when everyone started doing like these creative CVs and then sending them in the post. It's like the first one, really cool. The second one, really cool. Yeah. Third, fourth, fifth, you just copied that person. Yeah. So it's like you've always got to find that fresh edge. It's hard, but you've got to find the new opportunity that's relevant to like resonate with that brand. That's
tailor it to the brand.
100%.
You know, if it's Diary of a CEO, it has to be something related to content. If that's the style of job that you're applying for.
Tell me you know the brand as well. Like, tell me you've done your research. Like, tell me you've listened to the shows and episodes and podcasts. And like, what problem can you solve for us that is like a blind spot on our business? Like, come with the solution. Like, that's the ticket in.
Yeah.
So when you joined, how many people were there at the time? It was a tiny team at this time.
I was high number 3.
Number 3. Okay, so there was Stephen there. Who else?
Oh, sorry. Okay, high number 4. He didn't hire himself.
Fair enough. Okay, who else was in there?
So we had Jack, who is was the producer of the Diary of a CEO, is now like head of everything to do with Diary of a CEO. He's editor, he's director, he's producer. It's been his baby since day one. And then we had Dom, who has been for the last 3 years Stephen's manager, who managed sort of everything in terms of his personal side of things. But when you're a team of 3, you're doing everything.
That's what I mean.
So like, Dom was also head of commercial and brand partnerships. He liaised with every commercial partner we worked on. He took Steve to every single talk that he did around the world. He was his assistant. He was everything, you know.
So what did that first like few months look like for you guys?
It felt like 5 years and 3 months. Like we were so naive. Like we just brought together people who, well, Steve, and it's one of his incredible talents is talent spotting or potential spotting and understanding how to bring great people together. And I didn't have a clue. Like I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I knew social media. I didn't know podcasting at all. But I think that was our superpower. Like none of us knew podcasting. So we didn't know the right way to do things. We didn't know the wrong way to do things. So we just did things based on first principles that we knew to be true. So we knew how to gather attention. We knew how to create great content. And we were willing to put in the hours. Yep. Like we had breakfast, lunch and dinner together in that office every day it was COVID. Yeah. Like we got away with it because we were a production. We were a production company.
You guys sort of
we did say
yeah, we were a production company, so you were allowed to keep going. You keep carrying on. Yeah. And we continued to shoot in-person interviews. We never did an online interview. We just kept going and kept going and kept going, and it was so much fun. Yeah. And you know when you're like, people tell you these are the good old days, and they truly were. Like we worked so hard, and like I sacrificed everything. Like everything in my life went, but I would still look back and think those were you know, some of the best days of my career. Like to see what we were able to achieve with such like lean and little resources is completely insane. But we were all in, and like we cared so much. I mean, it's still the same today, but like that care when you're like 3 people, 4 people, like figuring this out together, is just the best feeling in the world.
I think I heard you say in a talk before that you'd take naivety over experience any day.
100%. That fresh perspective, the like not being bogged down by
What
operations
has
and
been
how
done.
to do things and ways of working. And actually, we found the people who we brought in to the company, we tried to make some like more senior, experienced hires. And actually, the way we do things is so unique and different that trying to bring that like operational mindset into it actually like dampened the spark and the uniqueness of where we are and what we do. And actually, it didn't work out quite a few times. Like some of these people were like, you know, like their CV, you're like, why the hell do they come and want to work with us? And then it actually switches and we're like, oh, we actually like, we know what we're doing here. Like, and actually we're on something here. And just because it worked once for you somewhere else, like doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work with us. So of course, like experience is super valuable, of course. And like learned experience and being through the tough times and the fires and the mud, like is really helpful. Like knowing not to run away when things get hard. But I do think there's something really special about bringing in a fresh set of eyes and being like, there are no rules here. Like there are literally no rules. Go and break things and figure out where our blind spots are and like come back to us with the solutions.
I also think there's a big difference between startup experience and like
corporate experience.
I
mean, I don't think they're
comparable.
comparable.
Incredible CV, but if they're used to working within like very rigid processes and then try to apply those to like a small nimble business, it has the complete opposite effect.
And in the same way, I'd be horrible in that environment.
Yeah.
Like if you now put me in somewhere with thousands of people in a 10-story office with like rules and regulations and told it's 6 weeks to sign off for a single post, I would last a day. Like I would literally last a day. So like I'm not made for that environment either. And I think it works both ways. And as long as you find out what works for you, like that's fine.
I remember our last company was financing e-commerce brands we built, and we were about 50 people, and we were jumping on calls with JP Morgan. Remember, we go on to do demos. They were so confused by us because we were like these young people who were lending hundreds of millions and
Never worked in banking.
And so we jump on the call and there'd be like 15 people from JP Morgan on the other side, and they're all like 50.
Yeah.
And we're like young lads who've just put on our shirts for the call. We used to have our demo shirts we put on.
I love that you went to that effort.
Yeah, we were like, it was hanging on a radiator, like unironed. But we jump on the call and they were like, so tell us about the background. I go, so before we start, we're going to show you how we underwrite businesses. But the first thing you need to know is there's 50 of us in this company. And before we started, not one of us had ever lent a single dollar in our entire lives. And their face would be like, but going back to that thing of like first principles thinking, who are we lending to? E-commerce brands, how do they operate? They advertise on social media. Let's look at that. Let's understand if they can do that well. If they can do that well, fuck everything else. Yeah. Like, let's just find the businesses that are incredible at marketing. That's all that really matters. And it worked.
It worked, yeah. There was never any questions after those demos as to your experience or lack of experience. It was like, okay, I get it. Yeah, you guys have thought of this differently and it works. Yeah.
I've had a lot of people ask me, because I've progressed at quite a young age and sort of quite senior positions. I mean, I'm now 28, but I keep saying I'm a 27-year-old brand director. Everyone's like, you've got to update your bio. I'm like, but there's such a ring to it. I think I'll stay 27 for like another 6 months. But everyone always said, like, do you not have people approach you and say, or like look down on you because of your age, or think, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or like in rooms. And like, I've actually never experienced that. Like I think the belief that we built when you're in those spaces and you build it over time, like people think it happens overnight, obviously it never happens overnight, but like you're building reps for years. And I've actually never experienced that. Like I've never experienced that sort of, oh, like, why is she in this room or why is she in the conversation? Because of the industry I'm in, because I'm in social media, content and brand, it's actually been such a like superpower to be my age. Like people have looked to me as the source for everything, older, younger, everyone. So it's really interesting because I think in any other workspace or industry, I don't think it would have gone down like that. But I think because I'm in this space, which is so new and so emerging and people are so desperate to understand, I've always had a lot of respect despite sort of the age that I've been in. It's really interesting.
Yeah. the 27-year-old brand director then is an advantage then? Like, oh, she'll get it, the moves quickly. She'll be able
I
to
honestly don't want to ever turn 30 because I'm like suddenly I'm just a brand director and I'm like, what ring has that got to it? You know, like I want to be the 27-year-old brand director. My brother literally messaged me yesterday and he was like, how long are you going to hang on to that in your bio? And I was like, as long as I can.
And so what did those early days look like? Were you given a goal? We got to grow this thing. It was only a few thousand subscribers whenever you joined. What did you do at the start to actually kick things off?
Everything.
Yeah.
Like absolutely everything. We were willing to try and fail as many times as we possibly could to uncover that opportunity of growth. And I think everybody wants the secret sauce, right? Like everybody like, what is the magic? Like what's the trick? What's the hack? The reality is it's compounding consistency and experimentation over a really long period of time. Like if you look at the Diary of a CEO graphs, like you can find them anywhere, Steve shares them quite a lot. We call it like a hockey stick. It is flat for the first year. Like I say flat. We went from I say flat. Why what?
No, they're eyeballing me, being like, "When's the hockey stick?"
Wait, no, so let me tell you. So,
Like, this is not the answer I want to hear, Grace.
So for context, we did on YouTube. So I always say like January to January because I joined in January. So in the first year I joined, we had 7,000 subscribers when I joined on YouTube, and then by the following January we hit 100,000 subscribers. So in the grand scheme of things, like we looked at that at the time and thought that was massive growth, like massive growth. By the next January, we hit 1 million. And by the next January, we hit 5 million. So you go from doing 100,000 in a year to doing 100,000 in a week. Yeah. And now doing 100,000 in 2 days. Yeah. You know? So like it goes slow before it goes fast. And there were so many times in that first year when we could have given up, when most people probably would have given up. When like you're on week 10, 11, 12, 25, and you're not really seeing much growth. Actually, sometimes they're dipping. Sometimes it's not growing in your favor. But you have to zoom out and are like, well, go back to day one, go back to now. Like, have we made incremental growth like opportunities, or have we seized those opportunities as we've gone through? Yeah, okay. Well, if that repeats and repeats and repeats, we're on the right path. I think people are so desperate for this overnight success that they think happens because of social media. Like we have this instantaneous like parasocial relationship with all of these people, and we discovered them after the 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of graft, and then we're like, I want that, I want what they've got. And I'm like, you want the secret sauce? Like we worked really fucking hard.
Yeah.
We worked really hard for a really long time, and we did sacrifice a lot. Like we didn't leave. We like when I say we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner together, and it was the best of times. We worked really hard, and we were willing to do things that traditional podcasts like weren't willing to do. So we were one of the first podcasts to do what now is a 10 camera setup. But we shot with 3 cameras, and no one else was doing that. No one in the UK was doing that. Like everyone was like, podcast is audio. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, podcast is audio, don't ruin it. Like, just keep status quo. And we were like, but social media, attention, discovery, all leans itself to wanting visuals. So we're going to just film the thing and we're going to prioritize YouTube. No one else was doing that. Yeah. But like also if you followed a playbook or you followed a rule book, everyone would have told you not to do that. Focus on the audio platforms, build your relationship with Apple. Look at Apple Podcasts now. Thank God we didn't do that.
You're the first podcast I remember seeing shorts from. Like that's obviously a thing that's just become so common with every podcast now. We're leaning into it a lot as well, trying to create lots of shorts from every piece of content that we make. But the Diary of a CEO ones always stood out.
Because we went back to our first principles, right? Like if you want people to watch something, you've got to create a path to discovery. Yeah. You've got to, in e-commerce, like create the funnel, like create an attention funnel to draw people in. Where are people spending their time? They're spending their time on social media platforms. How do we get people from the social media through to the long form? We've got to create trailers. And that's where the trailer evolved from. We were the first. I know everyone now does a trailer. I love your trailers. But like, and I think it's a great thing. Like, it's so cool to have been like the first mover to then see everyone sort of taking on that as well. But we looked at long form content. And that didn't mean long form podcasts. We looked at movies. We looked at things that were keeping people's attention for more than an hour of time. How do they get people there? Well, every movie since we've known has produced a trailer. So why wouldn't we do that? Yeah. So we borrowed from other industries. We looked left and right where most people look very narrowly in their own lane. So we looked at streaming platforms, and we looked at cinema, and we looked at all these different places to take inspiration from. And so we didn't have a rule book or a playbook. So we were able to just try a load of things. And obviously we don't talk about all the things we tried that didn't work.
Go on, give us some of those. I want to hear about the failures here.
Save us a few months here.
There must have been some channels, for instance, that you tested out that just like didn't work, or some formats that were just complete flops, because like that's kind of the beauty of testing as well, is that some things will just completely fall flat and then you strike on something that just works and it's gold.
When I was at the Drive CEO, they test everything. They like test everything now. So every thumbnail you see that's gone into YouTube has had every word, every color, every facial expression tested 10, 15, 20 times. So nothing's now left to chance, because our whole ethos is, wouldn't it be a shame if you created this incredible piece of content and because of the packaging, no one watched it? Yep. And the packaging is so critical and most people overlook it. So when I think about the way we've failed, I mean, we've got a head of failure. Like a head of failure whose entire focus is to find as many ways we can fail to uncover the opportunity for success, because that's where it's hidden. And most people just aren't willing to give it a go. So
what a miserable job.
That's it.
Oh my God.
I'm our head of failure, but for very different reasons, yeah.
But she's also the one who gets to find these like incredible wins and uncover these like huge successes. And if you are willing to put in the reps into failing, they are hidden there. Like most people, that is the secret sauce. Just most people aren't willing to fail enough. So what are some things? Like, oh my goodness, so many things. We put a lot of time too early on, I think, into closed community spaces that we hadn't nurtured. So we'd be putting a lot of attention into what now is really important, but like closed spaces like Telegram, or I mean, we tried Discord. I mean, we tried venturing into NFTs. Like we tried doing all of that avenue, and like none of that's around anymore, you know? So there's loads of ways and areas we put time into, we invested people, we invested resources into that actually didn't end up being important to us. I mean, there's just so many things. The way even we do trailers has changed so much. Like the set, like everything. Like, I mean, one of the biggest failures, we were filming 2 to 3 times a week in Stephen's kitchen. So kind of not dissimilar to like this setup in many ways. Like every single time Jack would have to come in and put up the entire studio and take down the entire studio. And it never looked like a kitchen. So unlike this, we had to cover everything up. So everything was blacked out. The ceiling was blacked out. The set was built every single time because we didn't build a studio in time. So the amount of energy and hours and time wasted putting that up and bringing that down, because Stephen's girlfriend didn't want to come home to a studio at the end of the day, you know? She wanted to come home to a kitchen in her apartment. So the hours, and what that meant is, because we didn't have an office space, we all had to sit there for the entire duration of the podcast recording on our laptops behind a black screen in absolute silence, tapping away on our laptop, trying to get anything done. Because we didn't think, actually, would it make more sense if we just like hired a space to do this? Like, do you know what I mean? But you don't think about those things because you're just doing it. Yeah. And then one day someone was like, okay, I think this is taking piss now. Like we actually need, and Steve had a dog. I mean, I could go on and on, but Steve still has a dog called Pablo. And he would get the zoomies during the podcast recording, and you would have to like pin him down behind the screen, and you've got like Richard Branson in the next room, like doing this recording, and you're looking at Pablo like dead in the eyes, and you're like, I swear to God right now, like if you move, and like, because he would just run through the curtain during the recording, and then you'd have to clean it, knock on the door. It was chaos in the best possible way, you know, but you learn by doing, and we made so many mistakes because we didn't know what we were doing. Like we were just these kids like figuring it out.
When was the first moment you think you found like real like content market fit? Like was there something that you did that just worked and you were like, this is something incredibly repeatable that we can build a business on? The trailer is obviously a great example.
Trailers, the stream of content, and the way we were able to make the content profitable really early. So we had when most people were doing a podcast for fun, like we were doing a podcast to make a business. And so the brand partnership and the commercial side of things was really critical for us. So we knew we had to make this thing profitable. Like we knew we had to make money. So and because we filmed it, we had so much more opportunity with brands and budgets. Because I think with audio, what people don't realize is you're competing for audio budget. When you start filming the thing, you're competing with TV budget. So where they thought podcasting was going to be a $30 million industry by 2027, because of all the merging of the worlds of shows and podcasts and streaming and YouTube and Netflix, it's all becoming one. We're talking like a multi-billion-dollar industry because we're competing with budgets now that Netflix are competing for, because we have visual production set up. So we really did think a lot about those long-term partnerships. And we knew where we wanted the show to go to. So we were looking sort of, we were doing brand partnerships on like 12-month basis rather than doing like dynamic ad insertion from like a paid agency. So we were building partnerships with the likes of Fuel, who everyone knows about, for better or worse, who we were building like long-term creator podcast bundled partnerships with, which no one else was thinking about. So everything we sort of looked at through a different lens, like we were able to therefore access different budgets to like the podcasting world. So yeah, I think we thought about it as a business from day one, and then we very quickly were like, live tours, product. Like, and no one was doing live tours with their shows. Like, and everyone now does a live tour. We did a live tour.
We won't be, by the way.
In your pub, no? We'll all come to your pub. Huge opportunity. You've got to think about the collaboration here. It's the natural progression, I'm afraid. And then we went into product. So then it was like at the end of every single episode, Steve will ask the guest a question that the previous guest has written in a book.
Yeah.
And so we were like, there's a product in this. So we turned those into conversation cards, which we simply could not keep in stock. We were doing these launches, selling 10,000 units. Obviously, when you actually know the reality of selling out, it's like, shit, like we now need to like get a load more product. There's like an 8-week runway, like all of that stuff that actually comes about. None of us had ever sold a product before in our lives. None of us had ever set up a website before in our lives. So like we were just figuring this out as we went, but the demand was always there. Like to your point before of like, how did you know this was like, you onto something? Like the audience engagement and the interaction and the way people stopped us in the street to tell us about how it changed their lives, we were like, this is the thing. Like when you feel it and when you have people like demanding more episodes or waiting for the thing to come out, that's when you're like, oh, okay, we need to make this into a universe. Yeah. Like this is so much more than a conversation. So that's when we went to 2 episodes a week. That's when we introduced a 3rd episode of what we called a moments episode. That's when we did all these other things and we introduced so many more elements and more touch points to the world. And we just did it with our audience as they grew and as they scaled. And we introduced communities. We've recently introduced paid subscriptions. Like it's so much more than a podcast. But that is where it started.
Was there a moment when there was a mindset shift from we need to make this content amazing to we now got to distribute it more, we got to put money behind it? Was there a shift at some stage where we've actually cracked the content side, now it's time to actually get it out there through channels, or was that more organic?
Maybe a controversial take. I don't think you ever crack content because the platforms are shifting so significantly. As soon as you think you've cracked the content and you get complacent, like you're screwed. Yeah. So we've never ever thought, which is maybe funny, like we've never thought we've cracked this. Yeah. Because I think the minute you adopt that mindset, you're plateauing, you're done. So I think we always have just thought, how can we be one step ahead of the algorithm changes and what we know to be true? Like we know how to create, I always say like, genuinely, it's not that hard to create viral content. It's really hard to create viral content to get people to stick around and to get people to engage beyond that piece of viral content. So we've always thought about like, how do we just keep people and retain people and keep that stickiness whilst also trying to grow at the same time. So
stay true to what you are, because otherwise, as you said,
otherwise what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point? Like it's really, you see all these brands nowadays creating viral content for the sake of virality. And I always say virality is like a sugar hit. It creates like this dopamine spike. It's addictive. You want more of it. And then it comes with a crash afterwards. Where is everyone? What's going on? Why is no one engaging with my content? It's quiet. It
can also have a
sad.
negative effect if you're bringing a lot of people in as followers that actually aren't going to engage with everything else that's there.
Well, exactly. And then, as I said, it's silent. Or you might gain all these followers and then they're not there for your brand. They're there for that viral piece of content. So when you deliver brand content, they're like, whoa, I wasn't here for that. Yeah. Disengage, which like for the algorithm is detrimental. You know, it's very hard to come back from that. So I always say, like, you want to go for like that nutritious balanced meal. You want a little bit of everything in there. You don't just want growth content. You don't just want retention content. You don't just want those viral hits. You want a little bit of everything, because that's when you create this like sustained plate of energy that keeps your brand going for a really long period of time.
I heard you say before as well, like the marketing funnel is dead and it's now the spiral. Is that what you really mean there? That
I think we are looking. Think about discovery. Think about how you find something, a brand, how you discovered Represent, for example, like you're wearing Represent. How did you discover that? I would probably place a bet that you didn't go through a very sort of funneling journey. You may have seen George Heaton's personal brand. You may have seen one of their pop-ups. You may have followed their social content. You may have seen an ad. You may have heard him on a podcast. You may have seen someone on the street wearing it. You may have seen a viral TikTok about how they've created this queue and how George Heaton is running this marathon or whatever. And you might have seen him from the gym. Like, all of these different ways are probably how, speaking out of turn, you may have discovered Represent, right? And it's not that you probably went into a store and then were served a paid ad and then converted to a product, or were served email marketing and then purchased the product. You purchased a product because of the connection you made with the brand through all of the different touch points. You felt connected to the ethos or the story or the values. You felt like that's a brand you want to be seen to be wearing, and you want to connect in that way. And that's what I say when the marketing funnel is dead, because it's not linear anymore. It's scattered and it's everywhere and anywhere. And it's about capturing people where they are. So if I'm, I don't know, if I'm a Gen Z brand and I'm trying to target like Gen Z females, it's about showing up in the places they're already spending time and not trying to force them out of their routine. It's like show up in their spaces where they are already hanging out and show up multiple times in multiple different ways and think about those touch points. So I always say your brand is about touch points. It's not about pulling people through a journey. And how can you get people to see as many touch points as regularly as you possibly can? You know, it's that. And Boston Consulting Group recently came out with this new visual, which is called a map of influence. And it's really interesting because I think the other piece to this is no two people's marketing funnel is the same anymore. Your way of discovering Represent and your way of discovering Represent and my way of discovering Represent will all be completely different. Maybe it's the same touch points, but it might be a different order. Yeah. And it might be George Heaton that gets you to buy, whereas for you, it might be your friend's recommendation. And for me, it might be hearing him on a podcast. So like the point of conversion is very, very different for different people. So that's the way I think about it now. I think about it as touch points. I think about brand universes, and I think about maps of influence. And ultimately, the game we're all in is attention. Like we are in the game of attention, and how can you capture people's attention? It's the most expensive currency.
How important do you think story is now? Because like I think one of the things I've noticed, particularly in recent years, is most industries have become incredibly saturated. Yeah. Like there are 10 hydration brands I can think of off the top of my head. Are like fashion is a completely different story. Later on today, we have Olivia Jenkins coming in, who I think you know. From
I'm seeing her this afternoon as well.
Oh yeah, okay. She's next. She's popping in here. Yeah. So
I mean, she's one of my really good friends.
Next pot up. Like she's incredible.
That's so funny because I literally we're going to 2 events together this afternoon. Oh no! So we're going back to back, and I literally texted her this morning, being like, "I've got to do a podcast first, so I'll see you afterwards." Oh, she's the next. But she didn't. That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's
so
so
we've
funny.
Olivia coming in, but like amazing brand that has gone into again a very very saturated market, but because there's a very unique story behind it, she's able to kind of crack something that I think a few years ago story wasn't so important. Now it's become so much more.
It's everything. So,
yeah.
I think story is your USP and your differentiator. As you said, you can buy a million different t-shirts right now. You can buy a million different t-shirts that are kind of quite similar to that one. Yeah. But there's a reason. Not a roast. That's a really cool collab t-shirt. But it's there's a reason you bought that one, and that's because you feel connected in some way to the brand story. And what I always say is there is room for everyone. Everyone's like, oh, it's too saturated, I can't go in that. What we used to see is businesses start and then try and build audience. What we're seeing now is audiences being built and then starting to build a business. We've seen a complete flip on the head of how businesses are formed. Like if you think of all of Olivia Jenkins, if you think of all of these people, all the people you're interested in speaking to, it's probably because they've built an audience or they've developed something and then they brought out the most perfect making sense product for those people. And when you think about it, it makes so much sense. You're building for the people you've already grown to love or who've grown to love you. And it's so much easier. It's the same in the TV production world. Like they're saying, we don't want pictures anymore. Like we're not interested in TV pictures. We're interested in your self-produced content that you've already developed and built, taking that. Like we want to take the things you've already created. So you've already built the audience for it. And then we want to work with you to scale it. And it's the same with all of these joint ventures we're seeing, all these licensing deals, all these products that are being created. They only are interested in working with people who've got audience. It's the same in the book world. Why is every creator under the sun writing a book right now? They've already got audience. They've already got people to sell
Distribution is king, for
yeah,
sure.
It's already there.
The best example I think I've seen recently is Salt you come across those guys?
I was like, how far into this conversation can we get without referencing? So I know Millie and Henry.
They're amazing, but it's incredible that like they were creating content, really, really good content 6 months before launching a product.
Yeah.
And they've got this audience of 20,000 people that are just obsessed with what they're doing day to day, ready to buy, and then they launch.
It's like,
and you are so invested in the journey the whole way along. That's the amazing thing about, I suppose, like building in public, which we're seeing more and more brands do these days. They're just a great example of how it's done right.
I have a lot of thoughts on this topic, because I think there's huge pros and cons to building in public, and what we have seen also with a lot of other brands with these founder-led businesses is there is a moment in your scaling journey where you have to be able to step away, and the brand has got to exist without you. And when we see these creator-led or creator entrepreneurs or founder-led businesses that we're seeing, that moment is so critical, I think, to the longevity of your business. If you are not able to step away in that moment when the business has got to live and breathe without you, you become, it becomes I've seen it happen, and it falls away, because the reason creator-led businesses are so successful right now, or founder-led businesses or people-led businesses who are telling the story, is because it goes back to the old age adage in marketing. People buy from people. People want to feel connected to something. We are overwhelmed, as you said, saturated with content and things and businesses and products every single day. All people really want is to feel connected to something. So if you are able to show up as the person with an incredible story, you're going to fast track that connection that people are, these big businesses that are desperately trying to build. It's why all these big businesses are hiring creators, because they want creators to be at the front of the business to build a connection with the audience and to leverage their audience, of course.
How does a founder then, or a creator or a person, step back? And when do they step back to ensure the business survives? Like Grace Beverly, who we'd met last year in Portugal, was trying to step away from Tala. I think that was because when they were looking for fundraising, it sort of suggested to her, like, we need to see this brand can
survive without you,
thrive without you.
Of
so
course.
Is there, you talk about that pivotal moment, when is that for a founder or a person?
I don't think there's I can say 3 years in, it's this stage. I think there's someone who I'm thinking about right now who's kind of in that space as well, who's recently faced a lot of scrutiny as the founder of the brand, because she is so front facing to the brand. And I think what you've got to do is those brand channels and the brand social media pages have got to start to exist with less of your presence. So it's probably at the start of the stage where you're hiring full-time social media teams, or you're hiring people in marketing, and you're looking at other channels and other places to live and breathe. And it's is the brand logo and does all of this stand up without my face? And so probably what you need to do is introduce other people to the brand. So we're seeing incredible businesses and brands build employee-led content. And I think that's a really, really smart thing to do, because you're distributing the significance of the founder. And you're de-risking it. And for investors, that's everything, right? De-risk, de-risk, de-risk. Imagine if the founder gets cancelled, the investor's screwed. So it's really important.
Happens to be an alcoholic or something.
No comment. But I don't think there's a perfect stage to step away. I just
gradually do it.
I think fast track that growth as much as you can. Get your story out there, tell the story, build your personal brand alongside the brand. Don't let the two be the same thing, because the personal brand should be a really, really helpful channel when it comes to launches and marketing. And I actually think Grace is doing a really good job of this. I think it takes a while. You have to be, if it's your brand, you have to be in it.
Yeah.
But then there comes a time where you go, okay, are we going to take this? You've taken it from 0 to 1. Are we going to take it from 1 to 100? Are we going to take it from 1 to 10 and 10 to 100? But I think you have to be able to build identity within those channels and trust other people to do the work as well, and build through other lenses and other channels. And my God, there are so many ways to build a brand. It doesn't have to just be through content.
Yeah.
And then build your personal brand as well, because when it comes to those big launch moments, or when it comes to representing the brand, those personal brand channels are a critical channel in your strategy, but they are just one channel.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting very caught up in it being everything right now. The brands that are going to be here for a really long time and stand the test of time have a multi-channel strategy, and there are many, many routes to go down. And if the personal brand is not available that week, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It has to be.
It's not like Grace, to be fair, has stepped away. She stepped away as the marketing person.
Yeah.
She's not modeling the clothes.
The influencer.
Yeah, she's not the influencer. She's definitely still producing
runs the
content,
business. Yeah.
but has shifted from being an influencer to being a CEO.
And it takes time. It takes time, because I mean, she also has faced so much scrutiny. Like, my goodness, like, for being so young and so successful, I mean, we can go into that, but like, there's a lot of people who want to take people down, especially females in the space, but it takes time. I think these things don't happen overnight. We've seen probably in the last 2 years this transition from her as a creator influencer to a businesswoman or a business owner, and a very successful one at that. So I think it doesn't happen overnight, and it's got to be strategic.
Will you ever do influencing for your brand? Or
Man,
should you?
We don't need influencers.
have you seen me try to do these shorts for Dylan? Honestly, Jamie talking about us walking down the street in New York. The second you try to say, so we're,
It's not easy though.
it's impossible.
It's not
reps,
easy.
though, isn't it? It just takes 100 reps,
Best believe
1,000 reps.
the first
before you
few
get good at it.
podcasts I went on, I listened back and I couldn't listen back because I was like, that is the most painful thing I've ever experienced or listened to. Why would anyone listen to that? I'm like, and like, and it's so, it just takes a while. It takes training. I listen back, I learn. I go, whoa, spoke way too fast now. And I also have people around me who keep me very humble and tell me where I could do better. And
You learn what to do with your hands. You know?
I'm still learning that. I'm like this. I'm literally like claws. Like you try and get a thumbnail from this episode because I'll be like this. Don't use that. But it's little things over time that you slowly build. And like the first time I tried to record content, I mean, Steve talks about this as well. The first time he tried to record content, it took him like 7 hours to record a 30-second video. Whereas now, if you put a microphone on him and a camera, it's like that. Everyone's like, oh my God, you're so professional. Yeah. But that happened over 10 years.
Do you know what you need to do? You need to think of it as not producing content, but like have a reason behind it. So if like there's a reason behind why you're sitting there doing it, if it's like to help someone else, or it's like you want this to go out in the world, it's way easier to just be normal or not think about it. The second you start thinking it's a promotional thing, like you think you're it's like being a model or an ad, like it's an ad.
Reading a script is
a
very different thing to sitting down and having a conversation, or just acting as you normally do in some behind the scenes footage. Yeah.
The only reason we ended up doing the trailers was Andy kept trying to get me to read a script. He kept trying to get me to read a script that we had put out at the start of the pod. So I went into a booth and recorded 5 versions.
You were there for 3 hours.
Yeah, but the first time I was only there for 5 minutes. I recorded 5 versions. Like, all right, they're all good. Andy, there you go. And he had to sit me down, let him go. They were absolutely shite.
You need those people around you.
Oh, big time. But he gave me feedback. I went and I thought, implemented that feedback. Gave him the little hard drive again. I was like, there you go, mate. Done. I'm heading off. Yeah. And he came back and it was like, it's even worse. And I was like, well, you try it. So Andy's like, it's easy. I'll do it. He came out 5 minutes later. Yeah, those were even shitter.
So then we were like, let's just copy Dara, his CEO, do what they did.
Seems to be working. Do you know what though, on that point about ads versus like creating value? Like I always say, if this piece of content reaches one person that causes them to take action, I've done my job. Yeah. So like if you have that mindset, you take the pressure off. Yeah. And I could not care less if this video does 10,000, 100,000, or 1 million views. If that impacts, and that's what I receive. I receive messages afterwards that are the most valuable way of me measuring my impact or me measuring success. Yeah. If a person messages me afterwards and goes, thank you so much, I've implemented that and I've seen this change, job done.
Yeah. It's the 1,000 loyal fans
100%.
Versus the 100,000 or million that don't give a shit. It's just the biggest thing. I've heard you speak before, or Stephen speak before as well, about like the 80-20 rule. Mm-hmm. So like be divisive with your content. You don't need to please anyone. In fact, if you're pleasing everyone, you're probably making a mistake. Yeah. Give me a little bit more detail on how you think brands should approach everything when it comes to that. Because I think the majority of brands are complete crowd pleasers when it comes to their content strategy.
The reality is if you're trying to please everyone, you end up sitting on the fence and you don't speak to anyone. So it's a redundant strategy, really. Like to me, it says you don't know who you're trying to reach, because we're not trying to reach everyone. Like no brand, my goodness, in today's age should be trying to reach everyone. You should have a really clear idea of who you're trying to speak to and go like hell for leather for those people. Show up in the places they are, speak in the language they're speaking, communicate with the kind of people they would want to spend time with, like show up for them. And in doing that, I think this is where people get confused with the 80-20. You're not trying to piss off 80% of those people. Yeah. You're trying to get those people. Everyone else, couldn't care less. Like it's like piss them off. It's actually from Jane Werwin, who's the CEO of Dermalogica, founder of Dermalogica. Cool. She says you've got to piss off the 80%, and not just like not speak to them, like actively piss them off. Because what you're going to do is you're going to make that 20% so fucking loyal to your brand. They're going to be obsessed with you. They're going to buy everything you ever do because you are speaking to them for them. So it's not about like looking at your target audience and trying to piss off people within that. It's like being so clear on who you're trying to speak to that anyone else, it actually doesn't matter what they say or how they feel about it. And if they are angry about it, great, because they're going to talk about it. You know, that's what it's about. It's about being so obsessed with those people that you will do everything for them. Like, and you will go all in and you will stand up for them and you will stand up for the values you believe in and you will build that connection no matter what the outside narrative is saying, like you are doing it for them. And so
is there an approach you've taken with Diary of a CEO down through the years? Like, have you put stuff out there that you know is going to be quite controversial, but you know your core?
Have you seen our titles?
Sorry.
I was just going to say.
Have you seen how we speak about ADHD? Like, do you know what I mean? It's not, and we are entirely data-led as well. So we don't take gut decisions. Like, we're not risking like gut feel and emotional feel over these sort of things. Like, we test everything. So any title you've seen is because we've measured click-through rate on that, and people are more likely to click if it says this sort of thing. And but then there's clickbait and data, right? So like there's a middle ground. There's a middle ground. Like, your content has got to commit to the title you're promising. So we would never be like, 100% of people with ADHD can be killed, blah, blah, blah. And then the guy in the video says something completely different. Like, we are for every title we've ever produced is based off the transcript that we've created for the show. So it's got to have that continuity. But yeah, of course, like we have complaints, like formal complaints, you know, about the stuff we do. Like, not everyone is going to like our stuff, and that is absolutely fine. But also, you might love the Diary of a CEO and hate an episode. Yeah. That's also okay. Yeah. Like, not every single episode is for everyone, but our job is to find the right people for that episode with every single episode. And that's the best we can do, you know? You see, we get cancelled every other week. But that's what happens when you get to the top. Yeah. Or we did get cancelled.
I'm just thinking of clickbait titles for this one. Oh no.
Grace, you've obviously amazing experience with Diary of a CEO and scaling that from early days to the behemoth it is today. But I believe you have something exciting to share about what's next.
Oh God. That's quite the tee up. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, when you're talking about this, because the reality is that I'm no longer at the Diary of a CEO. So I'm saying all this with like so much admiration for the team that are going to continue this, like, I guess the foundations or like the torch or the baton pass or whatever this is. Because yeah, I guess I left 3 weeks ago. It's quite fresh.
Yeah, very fresh, yeah.
So I guess the reality of it is I have been doing 2 full-time jobs for the last 18 months. Yeah. I've been a full-time creator, thought leader, content person, speaker on this side, podcast, whatever you want to call it. I'm still figuring out the title, as you can tell. I'm like seeing what hits, anything. Tell me in the comments. And then the other side is I'm brand director at a 90-person podcasting media investment company. And what happens is when you're so obsessed with something and then you're so obsessed with something, your obsession splits and you feel like you're not doing a good job at either. And that's how I felt for the last 6 months. And the opportunities that have come my way as a result of creating content and building my brand have got to the point where like I don't want to say no to some of the things that are coming in anymore. Okay. And that's when that's when you know it's time. And like with the heaviest heart, like when I tell you that last day of leaving was like witnessing your funeral in real time. Like everyone was hysterically crying because of what was, you know, like we were all part of this thing, and me leaving marks the end of what was in many ways. But like, no, they're going, like, it's a rock. I can't tell you what it's like being in that building. It's like an absolute rocket ship that is going to the moon. I just have this scratch that needs itching to go and build something for myself. And that's sort of where I've got to. And it's weird to say because I'm so excited. Like I am so happy, I'm so excited, but it's like a breakup. Like you're literally leaving. And I went back I went back after 3 weeks. I was already back in the office this week. They were like, "You're back." And I was like, "No." And they were like, "Wait, you're coming back." They're like, "You're coming back again, right?" And I was like, "Probably not. Like, that's not how this works when you leave a job." But like, I grew up there. My whole world has been there for the last 5 years. Like my whole career has been defined by all the work that's happened there. So it is leaving with a really heavy heart, but with this huge excitement about the opportunity ahead. And just how crazy is it that like we live in a world now where you can be an employee, build a brand that leads to so much opportunity that allows you to then go on to like build your own thing. And I know they're extremely proud of that. And like, I'm extremely proud of that as well. And I think it creates this pathway for a lot of people to look at and go, oh, that's a possibility for me too.
It's funny. Like, I think a lot of the time when someone works for you and they're an amazing employee and you get on really well, it's really tough to see someone move to another business or move to, like, in particular, a competitor, which happens all of the time. If somebody leaves to go and do their own thing, it's like you cannot, like, a founder will never stand in the way of somebody else.
Proud dad.
I've been like clapped up, you know, like everyone said, no one was shocked.
Yeah.
And everyone said, it's probably come quicker than we thought, but no one was shocked. And they all have been, I mean, you can want things to go more perfectly. Like, you can want people to say better things. Like, everything has just been an absolute dream. And I just leave with like the biggest heart and like so much gratitude for that time. And then so excited to be going and building my own thing. And
Can you share anything about what you, no specifics, but is it, you've built your own audience, your own personal brand? Are you going to start thinking about building products or selling products now?
I think the honest answer is like, I think people say building in public, like I'm building in real time. So like I am genuinely figuring this out as I go. Like, I think there's a few opportunities that have come up for me. And to your point, there was nowhere else I could go. Yeah. Like, I couldn't have left for another business because how do you leave the second? Sorry.
Shock, everyone.
Right, there's your clickbait title. Grace Andrews leaves for. There was no, how do you leave the second biggest show in the world? Like, where do you go? Do you know what I mean? So there's no, unless I would start again and start from the ground up again, which is I love to do. I love building, but it's time to like do something for myself. And no, I don't know. I think it will probably be. I love working with people, and I love being of service and helping people. I like being a consultant or something like that doesn't scratch the itch. Like that's very siloed and it's in and out. Like I'm an all-in kind of person. Like I want to build, and I think it'll probably be within the media world because that's what I know, but it's too early days. I mean, I'm vlogging the whole thing. So like I'm literally, I'm vlogging the whole journey. I vlogged my last week, and that will probably come out, and then this will come out or whatever. But I want to tell the story of what it is actually like to be a creator entrepreneur. Like, I think we all talk about it, but it's a really interesting place to navigate right now. It's very exciting, and there's huge opportunity. And like my role right now is to make sure that I grasp that opportunity and don't miss it, and like don't let it go past me by.
It's amazing though, because anyone watching who has any desire to do something themselves is going to watch this, and they're going to watch that journey bit by bit. No different than like Henry and Millie, and Salt. And suddenly you get this urge of like, fuck, maybe I could do that too. Yeah. And that's all you need to give someone. That's when you get that message like online, or you meet someone in the street and they go, you know what, I've just started doing something myself because I watched you.
That's the coolest thing in the world.
And there's no, it's like having an employee turn around and go, I'm going to start something yourself. You're like, unbelievable. Yeah. I can't believe you didn't do it earlier. Yeah. You're like, the only reason you stayed at Diary of a CEO as long was because it was such a rocket ship. Yeah. Like, going back to that mindset of how you even applied for the job, you got onto everyone, like that entrepreneur was fire inside you for forever. You were always doing your own thing. Yeah. It just took you nearly longer because that rocket ship was such a rocket ship.
And I have like, my whole thing is like, I'm so curious and I want to learn, and I just want to keep learning and keep learning and keep learning. Like I'm 28. I was about to say I'm 27 again. I'm 28. Like, I have so much to learn still. Like, I have so much ahead of me. I want to be having interesting conversations. Like, I want to be learning as much as I possibly can. And I think I probably reached a point within those walls where I was the teacher. And like, I want to be in an environment where I'm continuously learning as much as I possibly can. And don't get me wrong, there's always opportunity to learn. But I think I was like, I now have more opportunity to learn on the other side. Yep. And so that's sort of how the transition came about.
I'm going to be a pain. I'm going to ask you, okay, starting a brand, give me a product that you'd sell. Oh, can't say jewelry because Olivia's here later.
Do you know what? I think I would so lean into like the tech world before I went into e-com. Really? Like, I think e-com, when you get it right, is phenomenal. Like you see some of these brands who are just flying. I mean, I work really close with Perfect Ted. I
love
previously worked really closely with Perfect Ted, who are this matcha brand who have become like what the fastest growing founder-led brand in the UK. I think they just got named, and they are absolutely killing it. But oh my god, the hours they have to put into that thing to then get the results, and the number of brands that obviously fail on the way. So I'm like, the safer bet is like service and tech. But if I were to do e-com, I think it would be, does like F&B count, like does food and beverage count as e-com? Yeah. If you're, as long as you're selling it, distributing.
Direct to consumer.
Yeah. So I think I'd do something in that space. So if I could do anything, and I will record this back in 30 years' time when I've done it and been super successful, I have a real thing for, so in our office, like I've worked in an office for the last 5 years every single day. It hits 3 p.m. and every single girl gets a can of Coke, a can of Diet Coke. Do you know how much shit is in a Diet Coke?
That's terrible.
Like I mean, I fucking love a Diet Coke, but like,
or whatever it is.
It's just like, have you seen all those videos? It's like literal sugar. Yeah. But we are a place who like encourages health, and we encourage like, we're drinking electrolytes, and then we're drinking Diet Coke at 3 p.m. And there's this like whole culture around, and I'm not going to try and take on Coca-Cola Company, like, let's be honest. But I wish, like, I really would love there to be like an alternative, which feels just as cool, which tastes delicious, which is just as addictive, has the caffeine hit, but isn't full of so much crap, like so much chemicals. And I just think like we are also health conscious, yet a Diet Coke just like slips by. So if I were to do anything, and not in the way that like, so Perfect Head is like matcha, which in my world that competes with like the coffee world, or it competes with tea. It's a caffeine hit. Whereas this is more like a sugar energy hit. And I'm just like, and it's got to taste good, and it's got to make you feel like the cool girl thing. So it's like, I would do that thing. Kind of like, I think the US have done it really well, like Poppy, and Olipop. And like, they're doing really cool things with, like, I mean, you go to the US and the pop selection or the soda is like so cool and exciting. Whereas here, you've still got the standard.
Fanta, Sprite, Coke.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree
So
more.
I feel like there's
None
space
of which
there.
are cool brands.
No.
Olipop, Poppy, they're like, the way they approach social is phenomenal.
I mean, the whole thing with Alex Al and Poppy and like selling for what it's sold for, like, I'm like, oh, maybe I could do something like that. But,
Do you think it's authenticity? Do you think that's really important to whatever you end up building? Particularly if you're doing like a founder-led brand.
Yeah. I think people see right through it. Like, we have so much choice nowadays. Like, we are humans, like how you would see it, I would see it. We are our consumers. So like you see it, you feel it. You've got to live and breathe the brand. And I actually think you're best off creating an audience, then creating rituals, and then monetizing and productizing the rituals. Like, I think that's the route to go down. So it's about figuring out what resonates with the audience, what gets people excited, what are the habits that you can continuously do for a really long period of time, and then figure out a way to productize that. Like, I think that's got to be the route.
So 3 o'clock every day, you post videos of you drinking our new can.
Exactly.
Okay. Every day.
I actually, when I started thinking about it, I was like, it'll be called 3 p.m. Like, that would be, but then I was like,
That's actually very cool.
okay, maybe don't put this section in, because no one better steal my idea. Or if anyone wants to come and license it and do it with me.
Yeah. We'll send you the paperwork, all right?
Grace, we've only a few minutes left, but
Yeah.
I think what we'd love to do is just, I don't think there's anyone better placed, to be honest with you, to talk about the social landscape, things that are working, the future of the space and where you see it going. I think one thing I would love to ask just off the back of kind of everything that we've just discussed is there a channel in particular that you see brands underutilizing at the moment? And if you were building an e-com brand, a retail brand, a media brand, is there one space that you don't see people focusing on at the moment that you think they should focus on?
Two things come to mind. I think there's still huge opportunity in Facebook, and people ignore it. I think people write off Facebook as this like old person's platform. It still has the most insane number of monthly users. And if you're going after a certain demographic, my goodness, like, do not pass Facebook by. Like, I think people are all about Instagram, TikTok. And actually, it's about being the black sheep in the room full of white sheep. Like, if everyone's there, like, go and try Facebook. I mean, people are good at meta ads and like all of that side of things, the performance side, but organic Facebook. And look at the communities and the groups that are still thriving, and how can you, even if it's spend, like, how can you put paid spend behind placements within those community and in those spaces, but also you can monetize your content on Facebook. Like you can make money from the same content you're putting on Instagram by putting it on Facebook. So like, don't sit on Facebook. Haven't been paid to say that one, Meta, but if you want a partner in here. And then I think the other one, but maybe it's still more B2B space. Like I think LinkedIn is a really, really powerful platform. I mean, it's the platform that I have the biggest following on is LinkedIn. And I do really big brand partnerships over on LinkedIn that are hugely successful with the brands because I see all the results, So I think there's huge opportunity there. I think if you're a founder-led brand, founder presence on LinkedIn is huge. Like, and if you're neglecting that as an opportunity, because that is you showing up as you, connecting with the daily struggles and the reality of building a business, and the connection you build there is so much deeper. And I think because it's still not so busy on there, it's still not super saturated, you can really cut through.
The organic reach is insane on there.
The potential for reach from 0 followers, it's kind of like TikTok. Like you can get 100,000 views, 100,000 impressions on a LinkedIn post, having never posted before. So like, don't sit on it. But I always say as well, like if you're a small business owner and you don't have a huge marketing team, you don't have to be everywhere. I always say like pick your 1 to 2 channels where you can be consistent and you can sustain that consistency for a long period of time, and you've got space to experiment, and it's where your audience actually are. Like don't show up on the platforms because you like them. You've got to go to where your audience actually are.
You also said something there that is really interesting because like, again, with TikTok and LinkedIn, it's where your biggest audience is, but good content will reach a lot of people on there. Okay. Which a few years ago, that very much wasn't the case. You had to build up a huge bank of followers before you were going to reach a ton of people. Do you think followers matter anymore? Or is that something that is now kind of dead as a concept to a certain extent?
Followers in terms of reach don't matter on TikTok or LinkedIn at all. So you still have the potential every single day to go viral on those platforms. It's harder on Instagram because the way the feed works, like we still are used to seeing our feed of people we follow. We're less, like people are still behaviorally using the like For You page Reels feed less than they're using their home feed, or like they're using both. But so if you're creating Reels purely or short form content, I don't think followers really matter, but it depends, right? It depends what the goal is or what the purpose is. If you're just doing reach, followers don't matter. If you're doing brand loyalty, customer retention, if you're trying to build a community, then followers are really important because that's how you get them through to the next stage of whatever you're trying to pull them through to, purchase, decision, whatever. You get them to stick around. But it's not everything in the same way it was because of how the feeds and how the algorithms work. But it depends, like all of these things, like any social media expert you're watching or listening to, there's like, this doesn't matter, like very extreme, like speaking very extremes, is lacking the nuance or context, which is really, really important. The next question is, well, what's your goal?
Yeah,
like
100%.
What are you trying to achieve? Because then I'll be able to tell you within that context if followers matter for you right now or not. And also these things come in waves. So followers might not be a priority for you right now, but if you're trying to, I don't know, get a book deal or investment, those numbers really do matter. So it really depends on what you're trying to achieve in that moment. And that's why I'm always hesitant to like give these sweeping statements, which I've done in the past, because then someone will come up to me and go, but what about my situation? And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't relate to you actually. Please don't listen to that advice. Because the reason you seek advice for your brand or you seek consultancy is to get tailored expertise for your situation or your scenario. Everyone now you've got access to free expertise on YouTube, on podcasts, on the internet. And the reality is it might not actually apply to you in that situation, or it might not apply to you at your stage of business or all of these other things. So I always say, like, have your why in the back of your mind always, have your goals in the back of your mind always, and then tailor the content and advice you're receiving to what you're trying to achieve and work backwards from that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one of the issues with social media a lot of the time is people are basically building strategy these days around what they hear online. Yeah. And a lot of the time what you hear online is the loudest voice in the room. You know, say something controversial, and a lot of people will engage with it, which will drive its reach online, and a lot of fucking numpties will actually listen to what they're saying, even if it doesn't apply to them, you know what I mean? But that's a problem. But you're right, like everything has to be tailored back to business goals.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the people selling personal branding courses on LinkedIn and just grit my teeth. I just think, please don't invest your money, you know.
Yeah.
But
out of interest, over the last few years, what have been like the most important KPIs for you guys?
really, really varied. So we've always been trying to grow. Like growth has been really important for us, like sustained growth over a really long period of time. So we are looking at growth, but we don't necessarily measure growth with like reach. It's how many new formats have we tried that week, or how many experiments have we run, and actually the input is what we can control. So you can control how much you post, how many experiments you run, how many new styles you try, how many collaborations you run. Like you can control the input. Then it's up to these third-party platforms, right? A lot of the time, like sometimes it will hit, sometimes it won't. And I actually don't think it's always super helpful to measure the uncontrollables. Yeah. So virality, reach, it depends on the day, it depends on the platform. Yeah. So we're often measuring the inputs rather than the outputs, but we're keeping an eye on the outputs, you know, because what tends to happen is the more you put in, the more you get out, you know?
100%.
Grace, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. But before we wrap up, Ceilings from Diary CEO, is there any question you'd like us to ask our next guest, which is Olivia?
How are we getting to our event later? Because I hope she's driving. That's the one I've got in the top of my mind. I'm like, how are we getting from here to here?
What time do we need to wrap up with her?
Yeah. Well, we've got an event and then another event on the other side of London. So I don't know how long she's going to be, but I might just hang around here, wait till I know. My question...
Do you want to interview her? At the big reveal.
Imagine.
She's left Diary of a CEO for...
Liv will literally be like, hey, Grace. Like, she'll be like, what are you? Of course you're here. No, my actual question for her would be... So she's just, I mean, I know a lot of these answers, but she's just been through a big rebrand with D. Louise, taking it like very visually in a very different direction. Would she have done anything differently in hindsight?
Perfect. Let's know the answer. Cheers. Thanks for coming on. Cheers. Pleasure.